Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Each week, the Film Powers That Be release dozens of movies in theaters, on VOD, and on streaming services, some of which you will never hear about except here. Each week's upcoming releases are carefully picked over from various websites, and up to 5 films are randomly selected from only genres I would watch, which are action, adventure, horror, sci-fi, animated, or fantasy, and that is pretty much it. With that in mind, we, meaning Rob and I, sit through some of the most hideous trailers ever made, and we'll read you the synopsis of each film, then give you our not-so-humble opinions. We only go off what is available to you to make your movie-watching decision, and bear in mind, we're not professional movie critics, we're just overly opinionated blowhards, but here at Pop Culture Kaboom, we do utilize a carefully crafted and patented movie rating system, which goes as follows. If it's worth seeing in a theater at full price, it is a good, not a great. That is to be determined by you if you choose to see it in a theater. If it's worth seeing in a theater as a matinee or in your town's cheap theater, it is a so-so. If it should be seen on a streaming service or as a rental or however you choose to watch the film while avoiding social interaction, it is a blah. And if it is deemed so awful you should wait for it to be on public television, it is considered a touch brown. So January 5th through January 11th, there are 5 movies that were selected that we will be talking about. And I'm going to throw a dart at the dartboard here and pick one real quick here. And might as well get this one out of the way. Oscar Shaw. Haunted by the tragic loss of his closest friend, a retired detective embarks on a perilous quest for vengeance as he fights to restore justice on the streets he once protected. All right, I've seen fortune cookies with more narrative depth than this trailer. Seriously, the synopsis promised a Shakespearean tragedy, but the footage gave us a guy who looked like he's trying to remember where he parked his car 90 minutes ago. Michael J. White is here, delivering lines like he's being paid by the minute and wants to retire early. He's talking slow, he's walking slow, and I'm honestly not sure if the director just forgot to tell him the camera was rolling. He's shooting everyone in sight. Why? No clue. He has beef with his former police colleagues, but the trailer treats the reason like a state secret. He's basically playing Charles Bronson in a knockoff version of Death Wish, but on melatonin, or any other movie where a grumpy guy with a gun decides the legal system has failed the people, and it's just a suggestion. It's a cinematic mash of I've seen this before, and it's hard to get hyped when even the actors look like they're checking their watches between takes. The energy on screen is somewhere between dentist waiting room and accidental nap. I'm giving this a touch brown. What say you?
All right, so Michael J. White plays a ex-cop or current cop. I'm not quite sure. Doesn't quite tell you exactly he's still on the payroll or not. Anyways, he is out there trying to take out the Parkside Killers, who actually are a real gang in West Philly. So I don't know if this is based off of some police officer or not that took on the PSKs or not. I don't know. But it just looks like a typical boring yay police shootout with drug dealers type movie. Does have Therese Gibson in it, so there's that if you like him. I'm not a huge fan of Michael J. White, so.
You're not?
No, not a huge fan.
Oh, okay. So what do you give it?
This is definitely a touch brown for me.
Okay.
I would not be watching this.
The first mud brick of 2026. All right, what is next?
All right, let's go ahead and do Sleepwalker. Haunted by terrifying visions, a young woman's sleepwalking episodes begin to intensify, accelerating her descent into darkness. And the return of Hayden Panettiere. Yes, as a mother. This was very strikingly weird for me to see her play. Who is having dreams of her dead husband. But is it really her dead husband? Because he's also tormenting the kid. So I'm not sure what exactly going on. It looks like there's going to be some confusion as to when she's awake, when she's sleepwalking. So I'm not quite sure. It has Hayden Panettiere in it, so I'm yay, but it kind of looks like it's all right. So I'm going to have to give it a blah.
Really, a blah? Okay. Descent into Darkness, they aren't kidding. Judging by the trailer, the production budget for light bulbs was exactly $0. I assumed the crew just wandered around in the pitch black, bumping into furniture and hoping the cameras were pointed in the right direction. If you're attempting dry January, stay far away from this one. You'll be so tempted to play the jump scare drinking game that you'll be in an alcoholic coma before the second act even kicks in. Why is it that directors nowadays think haunting atmosphere is just a fancy word for crank the jump scares up to 1,000? Supernatural horror has never been my genre of choice, especially now that haunted apparently just means being jump scared by a CGI ghoul every 6 minutes. I'm sure the visuals are interesting when you can actually see them, but I'll pass, and I'm going to give this a touch brown. Are you surprised by that?
Nope, not at all.
But I do have to apologize to this movie for one thing. I confused it with the other sleepwalking movie.
Sleepwalkers?
That came out, and we did because it sounded familiar. Because I'm like, Sleepwalkers, that sounds familiar. But yeah, that was it is not the same movie. So I apologize for confusing the two movies. All right, we got 3 left. Let's go with Star Bright. When a star falls to Earth during an eclipse.
Aisling.
I was going to say Aisling becomes its unlikely guardian, entrusted with the star's fragile living light. Hunted by dangerous men, she and Raphael, not a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, are saved by Joshua, whose bravery and quiet strength turn the chase into a fight for hope. Together, the three embark on a night of peril and discovery, where the light's true gift is revealed, not in being kept, but in awakening the strength to hope and to change. Okay. So if you thought the synopsis was a head-scratcher, wait till you see that trailer. It starts like a fantasy horror film. An old man lurking around at night tells a young girl that they, who, at the IRS, the local bowling league, have been waiting for her to make a wish. She apparently made it that night, and then he hit her with the ultimate horror movie line, "Don't scream." Usually that's anyone in reality's cue to call the police, but here it's just a plot. Suddenly we're at a prison break, and we are led to assume the escapee's car suddenly explodes. Was anyone inside? Don't know. The trailer doesn't care either to tell you. All we know is that the escapee is perfectly fine, appearing in a few scenes later without a single singe on his eyebrows. Just when you think you've caught on that this is 2 movies thrown together, enter bizarre movie number 3. The FBI show up to raid a Midwestern farm. Are they looking for the prisoner, the creepy old man, the girl's lost wish? Your guess is as good as mine. Did you follow all that? No, neither did the editors. That's exactly more nonsense than after that. There's actually more nonsense after that, but my brain has reached its storage limit for unexpected pyrotechnics and vague imagery. Whatever happened to the good old days when an action fantasy trailer actually made you feel like you want to buy a ticket for that movie instead of hiring a private investigator to explain the trailer footage to you? Touch brown. What say you?
You saw a completely different trailer than I did.
I think I did. I thought I saw the rough edit of a trailer.
I don't even know which one you saw because the one that I saw has no prison break or anything in it.
It doesn't?
No.
Oh, you should have watched the one I sent you.
No idea what you're talking. That is the one that you sent me.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm actually just rewatching it now because I'm like, what are you talking about? And yeah, you are like way off. There's no prison break after John Rhys Davies talks to her. It's actually a little boat ride.
A boat ride?
Okay, yeah.
I watched a completely different trailer.
But this actually looks like a really good kid movie. It reminds me of Stardust. I don't know if you ever saw Stardust with Michelle Pfeiffer.
I did not, but I remember hearing about it.
Yeah, where she was a star who fell to Earth. And she had a protector, but she wasn't a little like fairy light like this thing is. So I think it actually looks cute. I think if you got kids, that this might actually be an enjoyable little adventure movie for them. I don't see myself watching it because my kids are older than the demographic that I think this is shooting for. So I probably will not watch this, even though I think it really does look cute. But I have to give it a touch brown because I know I won't watch it.
All right. 3 down, 2 to go. What is next?
Let's go ahead and go with Primate. In Primate, a group of friends' tropical vacation turns into a terrifying primal tale of horror and survival. Yes. So somebody has a pet gorilla, chimp. Not quite sure because we know it's kind of big.
It's a chimpanzee.
But it's fairly large for a chimpanzee. Anyways, it's like their pet that they grew up with, who randomly, all of a sudden, decides to go rabid and kill all of her friends when she decides to bring them home to visit for the holidays. This looks like a extension of the primate from Nope. So I think it actually looks pretty decent. I have some reserves, about it just because like I said, the chimpanzee looks a little big for a chimpanzee. So I don't know if there's like some genetic altering going on or what have you with this primate, but I think it actually looks pretty decent for a creature feature. This is another one of those, people have we've all seen. Well, I don't know if we've all heard the story about the lady who had the primate that ripped off her face. She had to have the face transplant.
I think there's a couple of real life stories about that.
So they go crazy. So why are you owning a primate in the first place? I don't
think they necessarily go crazy, but they are wild animals, which people seem to forget.
They all seem to go crazy. So to me, that's enough. So. Like I said, I think this will be interesting to watch. However, will I see it in a theater? No, I'll watch it at home when it comes out because it's a Paramount Picture. So, yeah, it'll hit Paramount Pictures.
Okay, so you give it a blah.
I give it a blah.
All right. I tried. I really did. I sat down to craft a witty observation, a snarky jab, maybe even a clever pun about going bananas. The synopsis and the trailer are for a movie about a monkey who contracts, from what I can tell, the most aggressive, fastest-acting strain of rabies ever recorded in history of medicine. This monkey gets bit and goes from adorable forest friend to cocaine bear's angry cousin in approximately 0.4 seconds. It's hard to be snarky when the source material is already a masterpiece of an unintentional hilarity. If this monkey's metabolism worked any faster, it should have evolved into a sentient cloud of gas by the end of the trailer, but it didn't. So yeah, touch brown. That's that. All right, so this brings us to the 400-pound gorilla in the room this week, which is, of course, going to be Greenland 2 Migration. Did you see the first one?
Yes.
I didn't.
Yeah, just Greenland.
Yeah. In the aftermath of a comet strike that decimated most of the planet, the Garrity family must leave the safety of their Greenland bunker to traverse a shattered world in search of a new home. But why? I skipped the first movie, so I'm currently wandering through this plot like a tourist without a map. Apparently, a comet turned the Earth into a giant charcoal briquette, but our heroes, and presumably a bunch of other lucky bunker dwellers, managed to survive 5 years underground without losing their minds or their muscle tone. Now an earthquake has spooked them, and they've decided their best bet is to trek across a wasteland to find a mystery crater, because when the world ends, you definitely want to head towards a giant hole in the ground. As they head to said hole, they face hundreds of outlandish environmental hazards while trying to get to this post-apocalyptic Shangri-La. It looks dangerous, but apparently this journey is a brisk 15-minute stroll, or the path is paved with hidden granola bars and artisanal spring water because nobody is carrying supplies. No backpacks, no canteens, not even a fanny pack. If you can survive 5 years in a hole and then hike across a scorched earth without so much as a snack, you aren't survivors, you're superheroes, or possibly ghosts. At this point, I wouldn't be surprised. But anyway, since I didn't see the first one, I'm going to have to give this one a touch brown until I do. What say you?
So another one where I think you saw a different trailer because I saw them wearing backpacks and stuff.
I didn't.
Where they cross a whole ravine and stuff, and they're all wearing backpacks.
They also pulled ladders out of nowhere to cross this ravine.
So, yeah. So I don't know. It's very much so a sequel to the very first Greenland movie, which actually was quite a big hit for Gerard Butler. I think it was more of a hit when it came onto streaming than when it was out in the theaters, but I actually quite enjoyed it. It was pretty good. It was more along the lines of your dramatic disaster movies versus where it was, disaster centric. So it definitely dealt with that. This one, of course, has Morena Baccarin in it.
It's contagious.
So, yes.
You need to start wearing a mask around me.
So I think she's a great actress. So I think that, she's going to lend a lot to this as well. I think it looks good. Like I said, it's going to be a sequel to, it looks like a direct sequel. It looks kind of like what we're seeing with like Fallout, the land is now livable again. So let's go see it. I think it's more of the fact that their, underground dwelling is cracking during an earthquake. So, I don't think they could actually sustainably live there much longer without having to do something. So it's kind of a necessity / plot device. I've watched it in the theaters. Probably not, just because I've seen the first one, and I don't know, Gerard Butler isn't that huge of a draw for me to go watch him in the theaters, but I'll definitely see it when it hits the streaming.
Okay, so another blah for you.
Yep.
All right, let's recap. Oscar Shaw got mud bricked. Sleepwalker, Rob gave it a blah, I gave it a touch brown. Starbright got mud bricked just because it's out of Rob's age demographic. Primate, Rob gave it a blah, I gave it a touch brown. And Greenland 2 Migration, Rob gave it a blah, and I gave it a touch brown. All right, so next week, the movie's coming out that we'll be talking about January 12th through January 18th, more than likely. 28 years later, The Bone Temple. Mm-hmm. Charlie the Wonder Dog.
Yep.
Leave. Killer Whale.
Mm-hmm.
All You Need Is Kill. Dun, 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 dun. Anyway, so yeah, All You Need Is Kill.
Okay.
And aside from, so I'm pretty much thinking right now that 28 years later, The Bone Temple will be the 400-pound gorilla in the room.